Well, speaking of journeys, little journeys, let's have a look at some journeys. Dan, can you flash up that one here? Has anybody been on one of these modes of transport in the last month, should we say? I know somebody has. It wasn't this one, was it? Well, it might have been that one as well. So I think looking at Mal and Sue, I'm guessing you probably covered most of those modes of transport. What have you done? Planes, trains, automobiles? Has anybody else travelled far in the last little while? Well, yes, Rona, you've been all the way to Peru. Germany. Oh, Germany, of course. Sorry, yes. You went to Germany, and I take it you didn't go on a bus. You went on a plane. Oh, you've covered all the bases. Because has anybody been travelling to see family over Christmas? Anybody go? Where did you go, John? Cheshire and Yorkshire. Wonderful. Wonderful. Where did you go, little boy? That's right. We've done about 1,000 miles in the last week or so, down to Cambridge and then down to Sussex to see friends and my mother-in-law as well, in-laws, which was a lovely time. Good to see the mother-in-law. There we are. Smile on. Smile on. But I wonder what other journeys that we take when we make little journeys. Little journeys can be made trickier by conditions, can't they? Sometimes we can. I remember my dad once driving home from work, and he'd driven probably 200 miles in his car, and then drove his car into the hedge right outside our house because of the snow. So we picked his way all the way home through this long journey, and then put it into there. So sometimes it doesn't necessarily depend on the length of the journey, but it can be a bit tricky. What about nativity journeys? Have we got a nativity thing? Who made journeys in the nativity? George, I'm wondering whether you might come and try this one. George, are you there? What is that? Do you know what that is? Who remembers one of these? Do you know what to do? Take that. Hold on to this. That's it, and then you sort of gallop around. Let's watch. Ready? That looks terrible, isn't it? Yeah. What's that? I didn't practice that, and I've got a microphone here. This is called a hobby. Who might have taken a journey on a donkey? Because it doesn't say that in the Bible. Who took a journey? Who is it? Let's have a look. It is Mary Jones. It probably went on the donkey. Right. What else have we got here in my box of tricks? Who took the journey? This journey. Anybody know what one of these is? There we are. This is all. What's that? You don't get such posh ones that look at the book. I think this is called an egal, and it came. My dad went from Jordan, the country. Yes, in terms of when you're doing shepherd's outfits, it's better than the tea. But the shepherds made their journey, didn't they, with joy. They legged it to go and find Jesus. Who have we got? We've got some shepherds over here. We've got some shepherds. They made the journey. And who else? The wise men. Now, what have we got here? Lots of stuff here, I told you. There, my one crown. There we are. This is as close as I'm going to get to a king. We'll think a little bit more about the wise men in a minute. And where do they come from? Do you remember? What does Matthew tell us? The East. That's pretty vague, isn't it? Is that East Anglia? Is that Newcastle? Is it? We're not quite sure. Scarborough could be. Yeah. They just said they came from the East. We'll have a look at those characters in a moment. But there's all sorts of little journeys that we make, and all sorts of relatively little journeys that some of the Christmas story characters made as well. But we'll think a bit more about the biggest journey in a moment.
After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. In Bethlehem in Judea, they replied, for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, Go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me, so that I too may go and worship him. After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary. And they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route.
There we are. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. That was the word of the Lord. The same version from our church Bible, but with a rather slightly shaky animation that probably took someone hours and days and days and days. But everyone loves Lego, particularly at Christmas. Well, let's just have a little think about this, the journey that these wise men, as it said, it came from the east. Nobody's really quite sure where they came from. And it could be, I think somebody said they might have been from the Medes, a tribe of scholars or priests. Nobody's really quite sure. I think they were basically Zoroastrian, somebody said, or some kind of astrologers, but basically people that were studying the stars. They've come a long way, probably a few weeks to travel to make this journey. But they came to worship Jesus. They came all that way to worship Jesus. And as we begin a new year, 2025, will we be worshipping Jesus afresh? What will be occupying our thoughts, our efforts, our times? Because I think it's very easy to sort of park Jesus in the let's go and do some worshipping on a Sunday category, and then we have the rest of our life category. Whereas actually they put a lot of effort into getting to this one Jesus. Actually, what would it look like for us to worship Jesus first? And also they brought their presents or their gifts. At this point, it would be brilliant. It would have been brilliant to have three people. Matthew, can you come and hold one of these? I can't remember whether I showed you these last year. Let me have a little look. Hang on. If you can hold that, Mr. Gold. Who'd like to be Mr. Frankincense? Oh, come on, Joy. Can you be Mrs. Frankincense? Thank you. Yeah, come on out the front. That's right. Yes. And myrrh. So you'll have to stand in order, I think. Gold, frankincense. But then can you come and be myrrh? So this is where we've got little children that are all flocking to the front. When I do an assembly in schools, you say any volunteers, and everyone, bang, and they have no idea what it's for, but they're all very keen to get involved. So the wise men took a long journey to bring their presents, and I have a present in here, or a beautifully wrapped box anyway. There's not too much inside it. I wonder what your favourite or your most treasured present was this Christmas. If you ask my dad that, he'd normally say something you can drink. It's a good test actually for was it a really valuable present? What was your most favourite present last year? A bit trickier sometimes, isn't it? But sometimes we might think we really value the presents, normally it's because somebody's given it some thought or there's some meaning behind the present. Did anybody get an experience for a present rather than a thing? You know, a hang gliding voucher or something. Did you get that something more? Oh, wow. A promise. That's an unusual one, isn't it? A promise that's ready to redeem. We won't ask what that promise is. That might be a bit more personal. But actually, things where gifts have been really thought through is really meaningful, isn't it? And as we start 2025, I wonder what sort of things, thoughtful things, we're going to bring to God. Because the wise men bought gold for a king, frankincense for a priest, and myrrh, this strange gift. Myrrh is a strange gift. Anyone know why myrrh? What's that about? So gold, we all know what gold is. Precious stones. Frankincense is this sweet-smelling stuff that points to worshipping of God in the temple. But myrrh is embalming fluid. Can you think of a least sensitive gift to bring to a new child? Congratulations on the birth of your child. Here is some embalming fluid. It's just crass, isn't it? Of course, it points forward to Jesus, who he would be. These are gifts at the time, but also gifts pointing forwards. Because the wise men show that the message of Jesus is for... is it here? Yes, it is. I bought this one. Last time I was here, I bought my globe and it fell off its stand. So I've got this one. The message of Jesus is for the whole world, even for places like up here, up in tucked away in the corner of Cumbria, miles and miles away from where Jesus was born. But actually, it's for the whole world. Jesus came for the whole world. And God, you see, took the biggest journey. We've thought about little journeys, but God took the biggest journey, not to just go across the sea or across the water or across the land or on camels for several weeks or whatever it is, but to come from heaven to earth. And that is the biggest journey. And I don't know quite where you're at with God at the beginning of 2025, but let me tell you what God thinks of you, because if we take this, can you turn that over there? Can you flick that one over? Gold, frankincense and myrrh becomes God for me, God for you. And you might be thinking, I'm a bit, I don't know, starting off in the new year with either a cough and a cold, or it's all been a bit heavy at Christmas, perhaps. Christmas can sometimes be a hard time. Well, actually remember that God is for us. God is for us, which is really encouraging as we begin the new year, particularly when it's all a bit bleak outside. So we remember these mysterious travellers who travelled all the way. They brought their gifts, gold, frankincense and myrrh. But remember particularly it points to Jesus, who travelled from heaven to earth for you and for me. And for people that actually don't deserve things because they're going way away from God, actually we realise that's all of us. Left to our own devices, we'd be wandering off all over the place. But God, in his grace, comes to look for us because God is for me, for us. Well, thank you very much to my young volunteers. Thank you. You can go and sit down.